Hello and welcome to another edition of Groovin to the Torah. This week we're on Perek Gimel of Megillat Esther with the parish of the Malbim, and we start off Achar hadvarim ha'ela. After these things, what are these things? These things are referring to the when Mordechai heard Bigtan and Teresh plotting against the king, and he came and foiled their plan and told Esther, and Esther told the king B'Shem Mordechai. That was the end of Perek Bet. But Gidel HaMelech Achashverosh et Haman. So why was Achashverosh giving Haman the promotion? And this is what the Malbim comes to explain. He says that right away the king forgot who had actually saved them, and Esther didn't press the matter, so he assumed that it was the person who told him to get married. Not necessarily assumed it, but he's like, well, this is the person. Esther is the one that really saved me. She said it was somebody else. I don't remember. It was written down in the book, but I don't want to look at it. And so he gave Haman the credit. And this is actually going to help the Bnei Israel later because, well, don't do any spoilers, but because Haman is getting this on false pretenses, it's going to further infuriate the king. So the first thing he does is Haman ben Hamadat ha'agagi v'yatneu v'yasim et kiso me'al kol aserim asher ito. That's pasuk aleph. Pasuk bet. V'chol avdei hamelech asher b'shar hamelech korim mishtachavim leHaman. Okay, so it talks about how Haman became the leader, the officer, I guess, over all the other officers. And this is talking about the slow rise that people have to do, and like similar to Yosef, that he first got out and he became until he became the second in command in Mitzrayim, he did a bunch of other things. Okay, so after that, everyone was at the Sharmech had to bow down to Haman. Usually this would be something only the king you do only to the king, but the king was mochel for Haman that they should bow down to him as well. That's why it says that he can't see valo hamelech. That was important, and Mordechai did not want to bow down, even though there was the punishment of basically refuting the law of the king. Next pasuk. And they said to him, why are you not listening to what the king said? They're coming to the Malbim from a place of tmimut, a place of naivety, not anti-Semitic or against Mordechai or anything, just simply, what are you doing? They thought maybe it's because of Mordechai, either because he was also sitting at the gate of the Melech, or because he was a Jewish person. So let's see. And they came to him day after day, and he did not listen to them. At that point, only at that point, they came to Haman, but they were really doing it from a place not trying to hurt Mordechai, but from a place of trying to uphold the letter of the law. And they came to see if the words of Mordechai would still stand. And so this is where we get to the point where there was a Yehudi. So the point is that they thought that maybe Mordechai was not bowing down because he did not see Haman, and the law was only those who are in Haman's line of vision would have to bow down. But in the end, at the end was because it was avodah zarah, and it was because it was avodah zarah. That's why he wasn't doing it. And also Mordechai said, "I don't really have to bow down because I am not a servant of the king because I'm Jewish, and Jews were not allowed to be servants of the king." But this one, Haman came in person, which is supposed to. At that point, Mordechai, in theory, should have had to bow down. Haman said he still did not bow down to him. And Haman was filled with anger, because at this point, he actually understood that Mordechai was not bowing down to him from a place of being a Yehudi, from being a Jewish person, and not hiding behind his official capacity by the gate of the king. So he was disgraced in his eyes, and he tried to basically not only, he didn't stop at Mordechai, he said Kirulo et Am Mordechai. He wanted to do the whole entire nation. Mordechai. 3 times it says because he was, or it says twice and one time Kol HaYehudim, because it proves that Mordechai did not bow out of hate, and even though Mordechai was the only one, he took out his anger on all of the Jewish people. And what does he decide to do? Let's see. בחודש הראשון הוא חודש ניסן בשנת 12 למלך אחשוורוש הפיל פור, כי הוא הגורל לפני המן מיום ליום וחודש לחודש. 12 הוא חודש אדר. So he decides to do a lottery in Adar. And this is actually part of the Hashgacha Pratit, that right now it was Nisan, where this is all happening, and Adar was the furthest possible month that it could have been, and it was the furthest possible day, because it went all the way to the 13th, and it was the 14th to it was between the 14th, 15th, and 16th of Nisan, and so basically, as long as you could possibly push off this lottery, that's what happened. Haman, the Melech, Achashverosh, and here comes the trickery. Haman decided to trick Achashverosh in 2 ways. The first one is right over here. He said, Yeshno am echad, mefuzar mefurad ben ha'amim b'chol medinot malchutecha v'tatehem shonot mikol am v'tatei ha'melech enam osim v'lamelech ein shavet lahanicham. The first part of the trickery is, who is Haman talking about? What does it say? Yeshno am echad. Which am? He doesn't say. Because if he would have said that it was the Jewish people, Achashverosh would have been like, they're not fighting us. They're fine. They're doing their own thing. But he said it was this one, there's nation. Ooh, he likes to put the mystery behind it. And ultimately, if they were just insular, they wouldn't bother anybody. But he decided to say that their dot is different. So Judaism is different. Even the things that are not against their religion, they don't do. He's trying to say that even it's not that they're just in their ghetto, minding their own business. They are even going against the king in different ways. So what does he say? Im ala melech tov. The second thing, here's the second part of his deception. Yikatev la'abdam. What does he say to do? You should write that they should be abdam. Not to be killed. To be exiled, lost, moved away, just out of your way. And not only that, like I'll put the bill. We want to move them from Persia, from Prasim Madai, and we want to move them all the way to Eretz Yisrael, let's say. Well, I'll pay for the transportation costs. I'll pay for the people that need to move them. So it didn't seem like such a big ask. And it's not Achashverosh's fault. He didn't really know. And here's the second part to show that Achashverosh really had no idea. And he gave his ring to Haman. He took off his ring and he gave it to Haman. And specifically points out that his Ben Hamadata Ha'agagi Tzarer Yehudim, that it's not just, he didn't give it to Haman as the king's advisor, someone that was trying to look out for the king's interest and the kingdom's interest, but he was giving it to this person who was at Tzarer Yehudim. He's going to take it and do bad stuff with it. But the king didn't know. That's the whole point. The king didn't sign off on it, as the Malbim said. He didn't really know that Haman's, the depth of Haman's plan. He said he didn't want to do too many good things it's like, this is already a good thing. You know, these people that are hurting our nation. I don't need the money. We'll take from the actual money of the kingdom because it's something that's good for the kingdom anyway. So we don't need your money. And this way, Haman got what he wanted. So Vayikru Sofrei, here's Haman's plan. B'chodesh harishon b'shlosha asar yom bo v'yikatev kol asher tziva Haman. Boo. And so they wrote with the king's scribes on the first month, on the 13th day of that month, which was Nisan, the first month. Not what Achashverosh said. Is again showing that Achashverosh didn't know what was going on. Haman decided to change Achash dar Penei Hamelech ve'el Hapachot, the two different types of leaders. I guess you can think of them as like the Senate and the House of Representatives, those kind of things. Asher al hamidina umidina, asher al medina ve'el sarei am ve'am medina medina kikatva ve'am ve'am Kilshono, B'Shem HaMelech Hashverosh Nichtav Nechtam B'Tabaat HaMelech, that he wrote it. Every person got, every leader, I guess you can call it every state, every province, got their own personally signed in their language so that they can understand letter signed and stamped by the king. Well, the king's ring, anyway. V'nishloach svarim biyad haratzim el kol hamedinot. להשמיד, להרוג, ולאבד את כל יהודי מנער ועד זקן, טף ונשים ביום אחד, ו13 יום לחודש, 12 הוא חודש אדר, ושלום לבוז. And he didn't tell anybody what was in them. They were sealed. And that was important from the last lesson. We said that it was sealed. Their instructions were, do not open this until the 13th day of Adar. And then another part, he sent quickly because he didn't want the king to change his mind. So he's doing all these different things that he wants to make sure that the Jews will get killed. So he says, this is a letter. When you open it on the 13th day of Adar, you must do it right away. He didn't want anyone to know about it. He didn't want the Jews to know so that they can leave. He didn't want them to be able to make themselves some sort of resistance unit or whatever to prevent their slaughter. He wanted them to be totally caught off guard. And he sent it right away before the king could say, hey, wait a second, let me actually see what you're signing in my name. And the next part of this is actually פתשגן הכתב לנתן דת וכל מדמנו גלוי לכל העם להיות עתידים ליום הזה. In the next pasuk, הרצים יצאו דחופים בדבר המלך והדעת ניתנה בשושן הבירה והמלך והמן ישבו לשתות והעיר שושן נבוכה. And the last part of his deception is that after he sent these people quickly run, he came down to the king and said, it's time for celebration. He sits down and has a drink. And nobody in their right mind, if they just signed the letter to kill people, innocent people, especially when you're talking about women, children, elderly, non-combat people, no one would then sit down and have a drink. And the whole city of Shushan was Navocha. And only, the Malbim says, is Hashem's intervention through Mordechai going to help foil this plan. Thanks for being with me. That was Perek Gimel. Peace out.